really glad that you are here to give us some good news.
Would it be all right to talk about how we win some? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I would like to share two reasons why the Catholic Diocese and the Office of Life, Justice, and Peace chose to make supporting bridges at Kramer a high priority. Or I think as Brad put it earlier, a significant participation project. There were two reasons why we chose to get significantly involved. One is the same reason why all of you are currently involved as faith-based groups. There's a gospel mandate to serve and engage the Anawim, the people on the margins, the homeless, the immigrant, those with mental health issues, those with special needs and the like. But we had a second reason why we wanted to get involved. We wanted to get involved because we were tired of seeing projects, one after another, blocked. Blocked in Santa Ana, blocked in Anaheim, blocked in Tustin, blocked in Fullerton. So I'd like to take a little bit of a look at that and look at this project, specifically the Mercy House project, to build the permanent shelter that would be 24 hours, 365 days a year, not an armory. We felt it was a worthy shelter project. We also support permanent supportive housing, but we wanted to see this built. The project came to Fullerton in 2013. Mercy House was working with two groups of proponents. One of the proponent groups was the Fullerton Homeless Committee that was formed, as David said, right after the death of Kelly Thomas, the horrific killing of Kelly Thomas. That homeless task force and about a half dozen Protestant churches in Fullerton, with at least 24 homeless advocates from those churches that were in favor of the project. Now there was another camp. That camp happened to be the parents of Commonwealth School, which would have been near the proposed site. Commonwealth School parents are largely Latino immigrant parents that were exploited and agitated by a reactionary school board member who had different motives for not wanting to see this shelter built. My wife Anadina and I were at the city council meeting where the vote was taking place in March 2013. And we sat there among about 30 or 35 supporters of the project and another 30 or 35 parents. All good people. People of faith, all of them. But being played off against each other. The homeless task force had been told by city council people and by the swing vote, the mayor of Fullerton, that the votes were there. You don't need to make a big deal about this. Don't do a turnout tonight. And so they didn't. It was about 60 people. It wasn't one of those contentious meetings like Tustin. The problem was the mayor, who recently went on the board of supervisors in Orange County, flipped. And I can tell you, he didn't flip because of the strong political cloud of immigrant parents. There were other forces at play in the community. Developers, real estate developers and investors. Their handprint is on the defeat of the Mercy House project in Fullerton, which would have been built at 301 State College. Now, our Office of Life, Justice, and Peace said, we need to take a close look at why these projects are going down, why they're being defeated, and what can we do about it? Because we knew that Mercy House wasn't going to give up, they were going to look to build a project in a different city. We came up with 4 different lessons that we'd like to share today. One is that political commitments need to be made publicly, not privately. We need to get our supporters on our different city councils and our board of supervisors to come out to public meetings with us and make those commitments publicly and not tell us behind the scenes that they're going to support us and then turn their backs on us. Secondly, size and scale are important. When we go before a city council, when we go before a county board of supervisors, we need to have significantly more proponents than opponents. We need significantly more. I heard the late Mayor Bradley say a number of times, a good politician doesn't need to know how to read. They need to know how to count. Because I assure you, they count. And when a Tustin City Council sees far more opponents than people who are there in favor, what do you think they're going to do? We're not going to fare very well. So we'll be moaning and groaning about why we're losing. Thirdly, we need to put people up in these presentations before councils and the Board of Supervisors that are supporters of the elected officials. We need, if a libertarian's on a city council or a conservative's on the Board of Supervisors, we need to have some of their supporters in our midst speaking up with us. And finally, we need to know our opposition. We need to know who really behind the scenes are making the decisions. What are their political agendas? What are their financial interests? And why are they mobilizing people in the neighborhood to oppose us? It isn't always what it looks like. There are forces to play that we have to be aware of. Well, this took us to 2015, when the decision by Mercy House to approach the county about bridges at Kramer and Anaheim. There had been another one of those hearings at EV Free in June of 2015. They didn't go very well. There were problems with it. So we at the diocese said, what do we have to do differently? Early July 2015, we put a call out to all 60 Catholic parishes and said, would you come together? We need to take collective action. We said there's going to be a hearing coming up at the end of September at Eastside Christian Church. And it's got to be a different kind of hearing. We can't have the same kind of hearing. And we need to be better prepared than we've ever been prepared in the past. We asked people in our respective parishes to take quotas, to take goals. Are you bringing 7 people? Are you bringing 10 people? Are you bringing 12 people? We had sign-up captains. We began to identify who our speakers would be. We began to give different assignments. Who's going to do the liturgical work? Who's going to do the prayer and the song? Who's going to make the signs? Who's going to go on social media? We spread the work around. And we just didn't go to the activist churches. We went to all of them. And we did it countywide because we knew the vote that was going to come up at the end of November was going to be voted on by 5 supervisors. And we wanted 5 votes for Kramer, for bridges at Kramer. The hearing came September 30th, 2015. Brad, a number of people in this room were there. Catholic parishes turned out in large numbers, as did Protestant churches, organizations like CityNet, Anaheim Poverty Task Force. There were 700 people at that hearing. The media here in Orange County said this was one of, if not, the largest public hearings in the history of Orange County. Our homework, our research, said that the opponents that lived in the El Rio neighborhood and who lived in the Riverdale neighborhood probably could get 250 to 275 people to the meeting. That was our intelligence. They delivered. However, we had over 400. When we, at the end of the meeting, Larry Haynes asked Greg Wagenbach from the diocese and myself to come forward, and he said, Greg, Mike, we had 93 speakers tonight. 81 of those speakers were in favor of the project. And this was in front of supervisors, council members, law enforcement. The momentum shifted that night, getting us ready for the county vote that would come 6 weeks later. However, the opponents now knew that we were better organized. So this wasn't any time to let up. We didn't slow down. We took quotas again. We took goals. We held each other accountable. We decided, and we did our intelligence in the group. When were they planning to get to the County Board of Supervisors meeting? We made two key decisions that I think were probably critical. We decided that our team, the supporters of Bridges at Kramer, would get to the county meeting 2 hours before the opponents. And we would take every seat in the chambers, in the overflow room, and that we would have the first 40 speakers, which we did. Now, it's good to be magnanimous. So we had previously arranged that the opponents could have folding chairs and sound speakers on the outside. After a long meeting, by a 5-0 vote, on November 17, 2015, the project for Bridges at Kramer was approved. One of my favorite scripture scholars is Walter Brueggemann. Now, Walter Brueggemann talks about the need for us to interrupt silence and to proclaim boldly and to be more prophetic. He likes to use the example of Bartimaeus speaking up. Well, may we all be Bartimaeuses again and again and again. Thank you.